Part 23. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 223. Neon is actually quite weird. You can get married and get a license at the age of 16, but you can't drink until you are 20. However, Kurosawa Hikaru didn't like drinking, and he didn't want to get Miki Shiraha drunk, but took her into a cafe. This is not a Starbucks, but a Japanese cafe. Because he rarely drinks coffee, Kurosawa Hikaru did not order coffee, but ordered a shaved ice, while Miki Shiraba ordered an iced Americano and cake. Kurosawa-senpai, don't you like coffee? As the order was placed, the two people sat across the table from each other. I drink very little. I usually drink ice water or wheat tea. What about you? I don't know very well whether I like it or not, just drinking a cup of hot coffee can warm up the body. Even in the summer, if you stay in the ice rink for a long time, your hands and feet will be very cold. Did you buy the camera I helped you choose before? After Kurosawa figured it out, he became less reserved when getting along with her and chatted with her very normally. Already bought. How's the effect? I remember that it was used to record figure skating training. It works, but I'm not very good at using it. I can only take panoramic shots with long lenses. As long as it comes in handy. At this time, shouldn't you say I'll teach you? Miki Bayu glanced at him and couldn't help but say. Although she didn't know what Kurosawa-senpai's photography skills were, he was definitely better than her. Compared to girls, boys are better at this kind of digital devices. I've been quite busy recently. If I have time next time, I'll do it. Realizing the request, Kurosawa Hikaru smiled. Are you busy? It's a pity for Miki Bayu. If you think about it carefully, Kurosawa-senpai is really busy with starting a business and performing. In comparison, she is relatively leisurely, because she does not have many social activities. Apart from going to school, she is either practicing dance or skating. I'm very busy. Even if it's summer vacation, I still have a lot of plans. Kurosawa Hikaru nodded. He doesn't plan to go on a date with Miki Bayu because he has too many things to do this summer vacation. Whether it is as a zero-hour status, or in the archery competition, dating, part-time jobs, and going back to my hometown to see my parents. Then when will you be free next time? Add your contact information later and I'll tell you when I have time. Regarding her mission, Kurosawa Hikaru still had to consider it, because the rewards were not attractive to him. This time I invited her to drink coffee to thank her for being honest with herself and inspiring him. May I? Hearing him take the initiative, Miki Bayu was a little happy. Originally, she was thinking of finding a suitable time to add her contact information. I should have added it that night before. If I had added it then, I wouldn't have had to go to the literature department to see if you came to school. Seeing that her beautiful smile was for herself, Kurosawa nodded. I was really nervous that day, wondering if you were here to find me. Speaking of this, Miki Bayu couldn't help but said. I'm not looking for you, I just want to take a look at you. Kurosawa-senpai is really famous in the school. Everyone is talking about you a lot. If they knew your hidden identity, I'm afraid it would be even more heated. Miki Bayu nodded, knowing that he was coming for her, then he smiled lightly, covered the side of his right face with his hand, and whispered. You know, the discussion about zero-hour master on the internet is still very hot. Apart from his peak piano skills, what most people are most curious about is the true face of Master Zero Hour. For example, how old is Master Zero Hour, what does he look like, and what kind of person he was before. However, despite the speculations on the internet, it is absolutely impossible for anyone to imagine that Master Zero Hour is a 20-year-old Dongda student, and he is so handsome. It has nothing to do with it. Everyone just wants to watch the excitement. If you come to the economics department, everyone's response will be even more enthusiastic. Yet, after all, students are more interested in gossip. Kurosawa nodded, he was sure of this. How about I go find you tomorrow? Mikibayu wanted to verify whether this was true or not. I don't like drawing attention to myself. In response to this proposal, Kurosawa Hikaru glanced at her and did not refuse, just said lightly. Today she was waiting for him at the school gate. This matter would definitely cause a heated discussion between the Department of Literature and the Department of Economics. After all, summer vacation is approaching and there are only 2 days left, so everyone is feeling more relaxed. All right. After hearing this, Mikibayu had no choice but to give up his thoughts. It didn't take long for the meal to be served. The two sat opposite each other, chatting while eating and drinking. Because this cafe is located near Hongo University of Tokyo, there are also students from Tokyo University here during school hours. Sitting next to each other, this handsome couple is very eye-catching in the store and has a strong sense of presence. The two kept a good distance and were just chatting. From around 3 o'clock, the chat ended at 4:30, when Mikibayu received a phone call and had to end. Kurosawa-senpai, it's time for me to go to dance practice. Mikibayu put down his phone and said. What kind of dance are you practicing? Kurosawa Hikaru looked at her. Although she was sitting, she had a beautiful figure. Ballet, it and figure skating complement each other. There is also this reason. Hearing this, Kurosawa Hikaru was thoughtful. No wonder the date mission with her also includes ballet in the mission funds. It turns out that this is the case. He doesn't know much about figure skating, but he knows that it is a very gorgeous ice sport. Add a contact number. Next time you have something to do, you don't have to wait for me at the school gate. You can make an appointment directly. After thinking about it, Kurosawa Hikaru did not forget what he had agreed to before. As long as he added her as a friend, she shouldn't wait for him at the door like today. This behavior is too eye-catching, and it is hard not to doubt whether Mickey's schoolgirl likes him and what relationship he has with him. Yet, hearing this, Mickey Shiraha nodded. After that, they quickly added line friends, and then Kurosawa Hikaru paid the bill. Originally, Mickey Shiraha wanted to pay a, but he stopped her with the words, I suggested drinking something, let's pay a next time. Bye, you treated me this time, next time it will be my turn to treat you. As they walked out of the cafe together, Mickey Shiraha waved at him with a stunning smile. Obviously, she was quite satisfied with having afternoon tea together this time. Okay, bye. Kurosawa Hikaru also smiled and waved goodbye to her. Unlike the previous day, which was at night, this time it was in broad daylight, so there was no need to worry about her getting into any accidents. After watching her walk away, Kurosawa Hikaru turned around and walked away. Be honest with yourself. Walking on the street, as the boredom accumulated in his heart was swept away, Kurosawa Hikaru also figured out what he wanted to do. He is not a god, but a human being. No one is perfect. Maybe he chose to have it all, but that doesn't mean he has no sense of responsibility. It's better to say that he is too responsible and doesn't want to disappoint every girl who has a good impression of him and has had a spark with him. If there is a girl who sees through his true face, knows that he is a playboy, and thinks that it would be better to leave him, then he can't force it. It's useless for him to worry about the result. The result will be clear on the day of the archery competition. Rather than worrying about what will happen when several girls meet on that day, the most important thing he should consider at the moment is archery. He must become famous and shock the world on that day, attracting the attention and recognition of Shifunja-Yuan's future grandfather. If he is entangled in these things and performs poorly on that day, and fails to fulfill the promise to Shifunja-Yuan's future, that would be a big problem. It doesn't matter if the task cannot be completed. He must ensure that he can rescue the future from the cage in the future. While thinking, he was walking, and the mobile phone in his pocket suddenly vibrated continuously. Realizing this, Kurosawa Hikaru took out his mobile phone and took a look, and found that it was a voice call from Miss Ninomiya. Seeing this scene, he did not hesitate and answered the call. "Where are you?" Ninomiya Chizuru's words were very cold, even a little anxious. "Near the school gate." Sensing his tone, Kurosawa Hikaru stopped, looked around, and responded. After more than an hour, it seemed that the news of him and Miki Shiraha being together had spread back to the school, and even reached Miss Ninomiya's ears. In fact, even if her tone was calmer, she would take the initiative to call him, which also meant that the situation was unusual. After all, Miss Ninomiya's personality was relatively introverted and a little arrogant. She didn't even take the initiative to send him messages very often. She took the initiative to call him, which definitely meant something. "What are you doing there?" "Just had coffee with someone." "With whom?" "Miki from the literature department." Kurosawa Hikaru was very honest, because this matter could not be concealed, and lying would make the situation worse. "Why did you drink coffee with her?" Faced with his frank admission, Ninomiya Chizuru paused for a few seconds and asked. "I was a little thirsty while chatting, so we drank something together." Because nothing happened and he didn't do anything wrong, Kurosawa Hikaru was very calm. After a round of questions and answers, Chizuru Ninomiya suddenly fell silent. Through the phone, Kurosawa Hikaru couldn't see her expression, but he could feel that she was in a bad mood. However, he had no way to deal with it and didn't know how to comfort her. You know, he was just drinking coffee with his junior this time, and it was in a public place. In fact, nothing happened at all. In comparison, his date with Yuki and Mirai was a big problem. "What is your relationship with her?" After a long silence, Chizuru Ninomiya spoke again. "Just a schoolmate." Kurosawa Hikaru responded calmly. He really didn't have any special relationship with his junior Miki at present. So far, he hasn't even touched a finger of Miki Bayu, and the distance is very good, neither close nor unfamiliar. But before he could calm down for long, Chizuru Ninomiya's words made his heart tremble. "But I see you guys are having a good time, talking and laughing." This faint voice came from the phone, passed from my ears to my heart, and suddenly Kurosawa Hikaru felt a chill. This feeling is terrifying, just like a piercing chill rushing from the soles of your feet straight to the top of your head. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 224. She saw it all. She was looking at me. Shocked by this situation, Kurosawa Hikaru stopped, raised his head and looked around. As he looked around, ignoring irrelevant people, he soon saw a familiar figure on the other side of the road. Across the road, Chizuru Ninomiya was holding a mobile phone in one hand and looking over here. With his super eyesight, Kurosawa Hikaru could clearly see her expression and eyes even across a road. Her expression was calm, but her eyes were complicated, including disappointment, doubt, anger, and sadness. "What do you want to say? Do you think I'm lying?" Facing such a look, Kurosawa Hikaru took a deep breath, calmed down the panic in his heart, and spoke. From this point of view, it was not that she heard the news and called just now, but she had heard the news before and came over to monitor him, and saw him saying goodbye to Miki Bayu. "I didn't think you were lying, I just..." Ninomiya Chizuru, who was standing across the street and making a phone call, was full of jealousy. When she heard this cold and forceful question, she couldn't help but feel tight in her heart and immediately panicked. In her impression, Kurosawa's voice was always gentle and warm, with a smile at the corner of his mouth, gentle and sunny. He had never felt as cold, strong, or even angry as now. However, she wanted to explain, but she didn't know how to start. She regretted why she said that just now. She waited until Miki Bayu left before making a call. In fact, she just didn't want to make things too complicated. However, When she saw Kurosawa Hikaru and Miki Shirahide talking and laughing, she couldn't help but become jealous, and her reason was also out of control. What to do? He won't hate me for this, right? It's just that I saw you talking and laughing with her, and I got jealous. I'm sorry. After Ninomiya Chizuru panicked, although she was embarrassed, she still expressed her true thoughts and apologized. The first time she saw Kurosawa angry, she was really afraid that he would hate her because of this and turn around and choose someone else. She and I really have an alumnus relationship. To put it bluntly, if we have contact information, we can be called friends. Kurosawa Hikaru was stunned when he heard her apology. He looked at the panicked woman on the other side of the road, and felt a little touched in his heart. He sighed and comforted her. When Ninomiya Chizuru heard this explanation again, the jealousy in her heart gradually dissipated and she regained her sanity. Thinking about it carefully, they were chatting at the table by the window in the cafe. Although they were talking and laughing, there was no interaction during the whole process. She was really too sensitive this time. In fact, she had been mentally prepared before and had expected that if the rumors were clarified, girls would target Kurosawa. She is actually not afraid of this matter, because she knows that her appearance and charm, coupled with her relationship and progress with Kurosawa, cannot be shaken by just any girl. Just like on Monday night, even if Kurosawa Hikaru responded "I love you too" to a female fan, she was only a little jealous at the time, but in fact she wasn't worried at all and didn't interfere afterwards. She was very confident. But she never expected that the person who chose to take action would be Miki Bayu, who was dubbed the school's beauty on the first day of attending Tokyo University half a year ago. She had to admit that Miki Baiha from the literature club gave her a strong sense of crisis. Because this girl is very beautiful, very outstanding, has a good temperament, good clothes, and is still very young, she has the ability to compete with him for Kurosawa. Don't you ask me why I added her contact information. Faced with her honest response, Kurosawa Hikaru spoke. No more questions. Ninomiya Chizuru was startled by his angry look just now and did not dare to ask any more questions. Since Kurosawa said he was a pure alumnus, he was a pure alumnus. You can ask. Kurosawa Hikaru saw that she suddenly became very honest, like a crazy tigress who suddenly turned into a well-behaved and sensible house cat. He paused and said softly, "Why did you add her contact information?" After getting his agreement, Ninomiya Chizuru asked. "To prevent her from blocking me at the school gate like this time." Hikaru Kurosawa spoke his true thoughts. He currently has no further ideas with Miki Bayu, and adding the contact information is out of such thoughts, not for better development in the future. Oh. Knowing this reason, Ninomiya Chizuru nodded. Go back first. If you keep talking on the phone across the street like this, it won't be good if someone sees you later. Because her mood probably wouldn't get better for a while, Kurosawa Hikaru thought about it and said. This is near the school gate. Although it is 1 kilometer away from the main entrance, it is also an area where Dongda students are likely to hang out. When Ninomiya Chizuru heard this, she nodded. After that, the two people no longer looked at each other across the road, but started to act separately. However, even though they are taking the opposite route and the distance is getting farther and farther, the connection of the phone is still there. Kurosawa. Ninomiya Chizuru's route was to go back to school. She looked around and saw that no one was around, so she whispered. What's wrong? Kurosawa Hikaru's route was to walk outside. Although the shortest route home was to take the bus stop at the school gate, in order to avoid being noticed, he had to walk the long way. What kind of car do you like? Why do you ask? Kurosawa Hikaru was a little confused. This topic was too jumpy. You can drive, but you don't have a means of transportation. You have to take the subway to school every day. Do you want to give me a car? Is it not possible? No, it's good to walk every day, just as exercise. You have rejected a 10 billion contract for me, can't I give you a car? Ninomiya Chizuru said this, feeling a little guilty. Kurosawa was so good to her, but she was jealous because Kurosawa had a cup of coffee with another girl, and even questioned him. No need. Kurosawa Hikaru could feel that she wanted to please him by giving him a car, so he refused after thinking about it. Kurosawa, I want to apologize for what happened just now, will you just promise me? Ninomiya Chizuru's voice, unlike the coldness before, has a bit more of a coquettish flavor. The lethality of the royal sister's coquettishness is something that no man can resist. You need a parking space to buy a car. Kurosawa Hikaru was a little overwhelmed, but still felt a headache. If he really wanted a car, he would have agreed when brother Shinichi was going to give it to him. The reason why he didn't want it was, first, it was too troublesome, and second, it was not that simple to have a car. Neon has a clear rule that if you want to buy a car, you must have a parking space, and it cannot be too far from your residence or unit, but within 2 kilometers. I know, I will buy it for you too. It's a waste of money. Kurosawa Hikaru was a little resistant to this kind of thing. Reciprocity is the norm, and he doesn't have anything to give back now. When they opened the office before, Ninomiya Chizuru directly took out 100 million to help them start a business. He hasn't made much money so far to give back to her. It's just a car and a parking space. It won't cost much. At most, tens of millions. Before accepting your gift, I have a condition. Realizing that she wanted to use a car to please him, Kurosawa Hikaru thought for a moment and said, "What condition?" "If you still plan to buy me a car and a parking space after the Kyoto tournament, I'll take it." "Okay, but does waiting until after the Kyoto tournament count as a condition?" Ninomiya Chizuru breathed a sigh of relief, and then felt confused. "Yes." Kurosawa Hikaru's words were calm, but decisive. "Will something special happen that day?" Ninomiya Chizuru noticed his attitude and realized something. Kurosawa Hikaru held his phone, opened his mouth, stopped on the street, turned around and looked back. With this conversation, they were going in opposite directions, and the distance between them had been pulled far away. However, he stared into the distance and could still clearly see Ninomiya Chizuru's back. "Wait until that day, you will see what kind of person I really am." Looking at her tall and slender, graceful and beautiful back, Kurosawa Hikaru took a deep breath and said in a deep voice. After that, he did not wait for a response, and hung up the phone with one hand. Beep. As the voice call ended, Ninomiya Chizuru stopped, and felt something in the dark, and looked back. Across the road, under the trees, Kurosawa Hikaru stood in the distance, turned around and looked at her from afar. He was wearing a white shirt as always, gentle and clean, with black hair fluttering in the wind. However, he stood there with one hand in his pocket, but gave her a very strange feeling, as if he was standing on a very distant shore, very cold, without the warmth of the past. The Kyoto competition will see the real him. What does this mean? Seeing this scene, Ninomiya Chizuru stood there with her mobile phone in a daze, confused. Although he has a gentle personality, a smart mind, the best second-year student in economics, can draw, play the piano, and cook, he is the best man she has ever seen in her life. But the real him can't be an alien, right? What he said just now should not be so simple, nor is it a joke, because his tone is very serious. If you wait until after the archery competition, you still plan to buy me a car and a parking space, I will want it. Considering the statement that she didn't think about just now, Ninomiya Chizuru fell into deep thought. In other words, in Kurosawa's view, what will happen on the day of the archery competition may cause him not to give him a gift. What kind of thing will change his mind now? Thinking of this, Ninomiya Chizuru looked up again, and Kurosawa Hikaru had already turned and left. Isn't he the real him now? Thinking about this statement, Ninomiya Chizuru was a little confused. The summer wind is very light and gentle, blowing her long blue hair, which makes people feel cool and refreshed. However, she felt very complicated when she saw Kurosawa Hikaru turning away. She thought that after 2 dates, and such a long time of getting along and meeting outside the school, she already knew Kurosawa Hikaru very well. But at this moment, she suddenly realized that she didn't know Kurosawa at all. He was too perfect in front of her, with all the advantages she liked, and she had no idea what he was thinking or what shortcomings he had. The second and third updates are here, and there should be another update in the evening. This update is for November, with 4,500 monthly votes. Thank you very much for your support. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 225. At night, Ninomiya Chizuru did not go home, but went to Igarashi's house. Who is he really? Is he an alien? On the big bed, Igarashi Runa was wearing hot pants and sitting with her big white legs crossed. After listening to what she said, she felt a little puzzled. Don't make me laugh. Sitting on the small sofa, with a pair of beautiful black stocking legs together, the super eye-catching Chizuru Ninomiya couldn't help laughing when she heard this, and glared at her complainingly. I wasn't trying to make you laugh. When she complained angrily, Igarashi Runa shrugged, feeling helpless. I want you to come with me. Ninomiya Chizuru also knew that her smile was a bit strange, so she explained. Ha ha ha. Igarashi Runa was also amused when she discovered that she had thought this way too. Be serious. Because she smiled so wildly, the corners of Ninomiya Chizuru's mouth twitched a few times. She suppressed her smile and said seriously. Okay, 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 I heard him say before that his level of archery is very high. Coupled with his good looks, the archery competition should be his time to shine and crush everyone. Logically speaking, that's a good thing. Igarashi Runa suppressed her smile as much as possible, and then analyzed it. I feel the same way, but he thought his behavior on that day might change my mind about giving him a gift and allow me to see the real him. Ninomiya Chizuru nodded, that's what she thought, so she was looking forward to it when she was invited before. Speaking of which, there's one thing I didn't tell you. Igarashi Runa thought about it for a while, then made up his mind and spoke. What? Didn't I tell you the night I was followed? I also called him and told him. Then what? When he heard about this, he called a Kyoto guy and told me later that he wouldn't have to worry about being followed starting tomorrow. Guess what? No reporter really followed me the next day. The person we found is very powerful, and he can make all major media outlets get wind of it with just one phone call. Is there still this matter? Ninomiya Chizuru was a little shocked. One phone call can influence major media. How much power does this have? From her point of view, her parents definitely couldn't do it, at least the higher class figures. That's not the point. The key is that night I told him about the firm's endorsements and work, and he also mentioned the Kyoto competition to me. I don't know why, but when he mentioned the Kyoto competition, he felt very heavy, as if there was something wrong with him. Worry. Igarashi Runa was also curious about this, and then said. Very heavy. If he usually talks in a relaxed and cheerful tone, then when he mentioned the archery competition, it was like he was suddenly suppressed by a mountain. Is there still such a thing? Ninomiya Chizuru was a little shocked. In fact, she felt the same just now. I have seen with my own eyes that as soon as he mentions the archery competition, his good mood will be instantly drained. His expression is very complicated, as if he has something unspeakable. Igarashi Runa nodded heavily, extremely sure of this. Could he be suffering from a terminal illness? Ninomiya Chizuru was a little shocked, and then thought of a possibility. How could it be a terminal illness? His body is so strong and healthy. And he is really terminally ill. You are afraid of going bankrupt, even if you ask your parents for money to save him, let alone sending him a car. Hearing this statement, Igarashi Runa rolled her eyes, not even thinking that this was possible. Because she exaggerated herself, Ninomiya Chizuru wanted to refute, but after thinking about it carefully, it seemed that it was really the case. If Kurosawa was really suffering from a terminal illness, he might really want to cure him at all costs. It can influence you to give him a gift, which means that what happened on the day of the archery competition may directly cause you to no longer like him, or even hate him. Putting aside this wild and unrealistic possibility, Igarashi Runa sorted out his thoughts and set the direction. I think so. Do you have any ideas? Igarashi Runa actually didn't know much about what happened between the two of them. Because this was the first time Chizuru came to talk to her about love. Honestly, I can't imagine what he would have to do to make me hate him. Ninomiya Chizuru thought for a while and said a little embarrassedly. After what happened this afternoon, she found that she couldn't leave Kurosawa at all. Kurosawa's tone was a little harsh at that time, and she gave up on the spot. She lowered her head and admitted her mistake. Afterwards, she was very afraid that he would leave her. She wanted to buy him a car and give him gifts to please him and make him forget unhappiness today. Father, like son. What if he has another woman besides you? Seeing her like this, Igarashi Runa suddenly asked out of nowhere. He has another woman. As soon as these words were spoken, Ninomiya Chizuru's delicate body trembled, and her expression changed instantly. I mean, what if? Seeing her such a big reaction, Igarashi Runa came back to her senses, immediately regretted it, and quickly reminded her. This afternoon, Kurosawa just drank coffee with the school beauty, chatting and laughing. There was no physical contact, so Chizuru became jealous. If Kurosawa had another woman, I really couldn't imagine how Chizuru would react. He has another woman. Although she was trying to make amends, Ninomiya Chizuru wasn't listening at all, as if she was waking up the dreamer with her words. In fact, before she decided to come to Runa, she vaguely thought of this direction. Because from a logical inference, Kurosawa was supposed to shine on a stage like the Kyoto competition, where she should be impressed, but he thought that what happened that day might cause her to withdraw her idea of giving him gifts to please him. In addition, there is also the real him, which is also thought-provoking. In short, Kurosawa thinks that he may not like the real him, and may even hate him out of love. To be fair, no matter what kind of shortcomings Kurosawa had, she believed that she would not dislike him. Even after what happened in the afternoon, she felt that she had identified with him for the rest of her life. But if he has other women, it's really hard to say. When she thought about this possibility, she felt it was too scary, so she put it behind her. But now, facing the same thing, Runa also thought of this direction. She had to face this possibility again. I just said it casually, don't take it seriously. In fact, Kurosawa is very rational. He has you, and he won't like other women so easily. Seeing her complicated expression and the way she lowered her head in deep thought, Igarashi Runa felt regretful and quickly comforted her. How can you be sure that he won't fall in love with other women easily? Hearing this, Ninomiya Chizuru suddenly raised her head and looked at her and asked. I. Igarashi Runa was staring at her eyes that were as deep as a deep pool, as if they could suck people in. He suddenly choked and looked away, feeling guilty. What should she say? I have had some close interactions with Kurosawa, but he has always been a gentleman, very rational, and even more restrained. He keeps a distance from her. You can tell at a glance that he is particularly dedicated. Runa, if Kurosawa really has another woman, would it be you? Sensing her guilty conscience, Ninomiya Chizuru suddenly stood up, walked in front of her, raised his hand and gently held her cheek, asked her to face him, and whispered softly. No, absolutely not. Looking face to face with her, Igarashi Runa suddenly felt that her life was in danger, and regardless of her guilty conscience, she shook her head wildly and denied it. As she shook her head for a while, her head was suddenly held upright and steady by a pair of hands. Runa, we are good sisters. If you really have something to do with Kurosawa, as long as you admit it honestly, I can actually accept it. Ninomiya Chizuru held her face, her expression was very calm, she looked down at her voice was very soft. Faced with this situation, Igarashi Runa really wanted to say that your actions are not acceptable at all. Even if you say so, it means there is none. Igarashi Runa was almost frightened to tears by her, and responded tremblingly. Chizuru in this state is so terrifying, even scarier than the ghost she saw that day in Jiji General Hospital. Because even though she was scared enough at the time, she actually knew deep down that those ghosts would only scare her on purpose and would not harm her. But at this moment, Chizuru, who was emotionally and mentally unstable, could possibly hurt her. If it's really not the case, why did you look away guiltily just now? Why didn't you dare to face me? Ninomiya Chizuru bent down, held her face with both hands, tilted her head slightly, feeling deeply puzzled. Because I had a little thought about him, but just a thought. Igarashi Runa didn't dare to hide it anymore, and revealed the secret hidden in her heart. Are you really not? When Ninomiya Chizuru heard this, she asked again if she had some understanding. Really not? Igarashi Runa nodded crazily like a chicken pecking at rice. Who could that be? Seeing her reaction, Ninomiya Chizuru loosened her hands and no longer held her face. She straightened up and turned around, pondering this question. Call. As she let go, Igarashi Runa's body softened and she lay down on the bed. My dear, this is too scary. Is it the future of Sci-fi Yuan? Ninomiya Chizuru thought about it and suddenly thought of a candidate. Thinking of this possibility, Ninomiya Chizuru picked up her mobile phone and started checking the internet. Sure enough, she participated in the high school archery competition last year and was the champion of the women's individual competition. With one operation, she found a piece of news and immediately had a new direction. Who is the future of Sci-fi Yuan? Seeing that she had found a new target, Igarashi Runa was still feeling weak, but she still asked with concern. The daughter of the Maple Forest Consortium, it is rumored that she is unparalleled in talent and appearance, can sing and dance, is good at both civil and military arts, is proficient in music, chess, calligraphy, and painting. Kung Fu is also one of her specialties. Kurosawa still knows such a powerful young lady. Hearing this introduction, Igarashi Runa was a little shocked. This identity, this background, and these rumors are just like the hidden figure in the legend. If there is another woman in Kurosawa, if she comes to watch the archery competition that day, then it must be her. Ninomiya Chizuru nodded slightly, took a deep breath, and turned around. As she turned around, Igarashi Runa's body couldn't help but tremble because of the psychological shadow just now. We are good sisters, why are you so scared of me? Ninomiya Chizuru found that she was being looked at by him, and she was a little scared, and she was speechless. The fourth update is here. This chapter is an extra update for 28,000 total recommendation votes. According to the rules, 5,000 recommendation votes will also be accumulated once for an extra update, so don't forget to vote. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 226. It's okay, it's just that the air conditioner is a bit cold. Igarashi Runa forced a smile on her face. Can she not be afraid? The Chizuru just now was too terrifying, too scary. Why does it have to be the day of the archery competition? If Kurosawa really has another woman and really wants to tell me what he is really like, it can be done at other times. Ninomiya Chizuru's thoughts were not entirely on her at this time, but she fell into a new round of thinking. Indeed, why do I have to let you know at the archery competition? Igarashi Runa thought about it and felt that there was something fishy in it. If that boy Kurosawa is really a playboy and has another woman, why does he have to choose the day of the archery competition? Are there uncontrollable things going on? Is there anything that forces him to do this? Could it be that he can't help himself? On that day, what will Siphon Jiyuan do to him in the future? Ninomiya Chizuru's thinking direction is surprisingly similar to hers. That's right, even if Kurosawa is very good, he can be said to be talented and unparalleled in talent, but talent is talent after all. Before he grows up, he is still too weak against the Maple Forest Consortium. Could it be that she discovered that I went to Asira Valley with him on Saturday? Thinking of this, countless possibilities and pictures burst into Ninomiya Chizuru's mind. Kurosawa, if you don't want Chizuru Ninomiya's career to be ruined, just obey me. It was a picture of a woman whose facial features could not be clearly seen clearly, and whose outline could only be vaguely seen, but a woman with black hair and red eyes was sitting on the throne extremely arrogantly, looking down at Kurosawa, relying on her power to dominate. If I kiss you in public, I wonder how your beloved her will react. You can't tell her about this, Kurosawa, you don't want her career and work to be implicated, right? One after another, vile and despicable words resounded in Ninomiya Chizuru's mind. Yes, absolutely. On Saturday, Kurosawa invited her to watch the archery competition. She was very happy at that time. But only a few days later, when he mentioned the archery competition again, his face was heavy, his thoughts were complicated, and he couldn't express his pain. Kurosawa was handsome and talented. No matter who he was, it was possible for him to like him, even the daughter of a rich man. The eldest lady of Siphon Jiyuan definitely discovered the relationship between Kurosawa and her. She loved her but couldn't get it, and because of love, she hated her. She used this as a blackmail to play with Kurosawa. The future of Siphon Jiyuan. Ninomiya Chizuru clutched her phone tightly, getting angrier and distressed the more she thought about it. Poor Kurosawa, if it weren't for the fact that their relationship and secrets were known, how could he be so proud and arrogant, and be so coerced and helpless? Can he, to be honest, there is no evidence yet to prove that he really has another woman, this direction is just one of the possibilities, so don't get too involved. Seeing her angry expression, Igarashi Runa sat up, moved her butt back, distanced herself from her, and comforted her. She didn't know what Kin's thought about to become like this, but what was certain was that this matter had to be curbed. After all, this matter is purely a guess. Is there no evidence? That's true. Hearing these words, Ninomiya Chizuru was stunned for a moment, then nodded and regained her sense and calmness. Even so, she still felt from the bottom of her heart that as long as Shifunjin came in the future on the day of the archery competition and had any interaction with Kurosawa, it would be exactly what she guessed. Poor Kurosawa, in order to protect her, was secretly threatened by the rich man of the consortium. He couldn't help himself and was bullied. This is the end of my thoughts. I will see the result on the day of the archery competition. After calming down, Ninomiya Chizuru raised her head and looked at Runa, who had already retreated from the end of the bed to the head of the bed. What's wrong? Being stared at without saying a word by her, Igarashi Runa felt a little frightened in her heart. It's okay, can I sleep with you tonight? Ninomiya Chizuru thought for a while and asked instead of bringing up the old matter. Kurosawa is so good, and Runa has been single for so many years, so it's normal to have thoughts about him. Ah! Hearing this, Igarashi Runa's expression suddenly fell. What's your expression? Aren't we good sisters? Seeing her reluctance, Ninomiya Chizuru realized that he had scared her just now and comforted her. Yes, we are good sisters for life. If you want to sleep with me, I welcome you. Although she thought it was comforting, for Igarashi Runa, it was not the case. It felt more like threats, so she had no choice but to agree. Okay, I'll take a shower first. Seeing her state, Ninomiya Chizuru thought about it and decided to give her some space alone. After that, she walked aside, opened the closet, took out a set of clothes and underwear, and went to the bathroom. Boom! As the bathroom door was closed, Igarashi Runa was still in shock. After hearing the sound of water in the bathroom, Igarashi Runa thought for a moment, slipped out of bed quietly, and tiptoed downstairs. She walked into the kitchen and put knives and other sharp objects that could be used as murder weapons in a cabinet and locked them. Among other things, she grabbed a few cans of beer from the refrigerator. When she returned to the room, she looked around and put pens and other things away just to be on the safe side. God bless, I hope I can still see the sun tomorrow. Igarashi Runa opened a can of beer, drank it down, and said to himself. Tonight was destined to be a sleepless night for her. You have to vaccinate Yuki-chan too. At the same time, Kurosawa Hikaru returned home at 5 p.m., stayed alone for a long time, and thought a lot. Finally, at 7:30, he came to consciousness. On the day of the archery competition, the three girls gathered together. Although Shifunji would never cause trouble in the future, the probability of Xiaoyuki and Miss Ninomiya meeting head-on was very high. Because Xiaoyuki has a very energetic and lively personality, whenever she shouts Hikaru, brother, come on during the game, she will attract the attention of Ms. Ninomiya, and they will compete on the spot. What would happen in such a confrontation, he couldn't say for sure, but if he was vaccinated first, he should be able to avoid the worst situation to a certain extent. Are you at home? As soon as he thought of it, Kurosawa Hikaru made up his mind and sent her a message. He has to be honest with himself, and he has to be honest with them, only this is fair. Deception doesn't last long. The longer this matter is delayed, the stronger the relationship between them and themselves becomes. Once exposed, the situation will really get out of hand. This showdown in the archery competition is definitely the best time, bar none, because the progress of his current contact with the three girls is very subtle. His contact with Xiaoyuki included the time when he applied sunscreen, which was so close to smearing it all over his body, and the time when he took away his first kiss. His contact with Miss Ninomiya included hand-holding with a racing heart, but if you insist on saying that the highest level of progress was also the first kiss. As for the future of Sci-fi, although close contact was limited to kissing on the face, she knew about it from the beginning and was the one who didn't have to worry the least. It was because of a lot of thought that he made up his mind. If Xiaoyuki and Ninomiya Chizuru learn that he is a playboy and cannot accept this fact and choose to break up with him, then there is nothing he can do. Because he is really a lovey-dovey guy. He is devoted to every girl he goes out with, and he cannot be devoted to only one girl. Such is the nature of man, that once he possesses unparalleled talents and powers, he longs for more. The only thing he can guarantee is that if they are willing to turn a blind eye to the matter of how many votes they have for him, he will do everything possible to be good to them and compensate them in other ways. I'm at home. I just finished washing the dishes and came back to the room. Soon, Xiaoyuki replied. After seeing her reply, Kurosawa weighed in and called her via video. After a few seconds, the video was connected. Brother Guang, good evening. Xiaoyuki was still sitting on the carpet as before, waving hello to him, her smile was as cute as ever. Good evening, Yuki-chan. Kurosawa Hikaru sat on the sofa, lowered his head to check the phone, saw her beautiful and smart face, and responded. Don't you have to do a paper or something today? Opposite me, Ichi knows Yuki was a little surprised. I'll do it later. I'll contact you. I have something I want to tell you. Kurosawa Hikaru nodded slightly and spoke calmly. What's going on? Ichi-no's Yuki, who was originally very surprised, felt that his expression and tone were different from the previous gentleness and enthusiasm. He was very calm and serious, and the way he looked at her was not as doting and gentle as before. But he has very complicated emotions. It's about the next date at the beach. Are you looking forward to it? Kurosawa took a deep breath and said. Do you want to set a date? I'm looking forward to it. I really want to surf with you again. A smile bloomed on Ichi-no's Yuki's face, and her tone was brisk and lively, trying to make him happy. Not yet. However, there was still no smile on Kurosawa Hikaru's face, but he shook his head. Brother Guang, what's wrong with you? Yuki Ichi-no's was sitting on the stall, looking at the calm and serious look of Brother Hikaru on the mobile phone screen erected on the small table. Suddenly, he was a little scared, and his voice suddenly dropped an octave, and he said weakly. This was the first time she had seen such a serious Brother Guang. He was not as approachable as before, but gave her a sense of strangeness and distance. Could it be that Brother Guang wants to break up with her? Probably not, because she has been very good recently. Brother Guang asked her to maintain their friendship, and she actively followed it. Brother Guang told her to pay attention to her safety. As long as she went out to play, even if it was rough and tumble, Lan would take her home. On the day of the archery competition, a lot of things happen. Kurosawa Hikaru felt a little soft-hearted when he saw her pitiful look, but he still said. Kyudo competition? I know you are very busy. Just be busy as long as you are busy. I won't disturb you after hearing this, Yuki Ichi-no's responded immediately. If you still want to go to the beach with me after the archery competition, give me a call. No matter what happens, I want to go to the beach with you. Hearing this statement, Ichi-no's Yuki immediately became anxious and a little scared, and said without hesitation. That day, you will see the real me, and it will overturn your previous view of me. Be prepared. Seeing her anxious and fearful reaction, Kurosawa Hikaru felt a little distressed, but he had to do it. To be on the safe side, he also reminded her a few more times. Unlike Miss Ninomiya, who is so mature and smart, she should be able to guess the situation and be prepared. Yuki is relatively young and stupid, and may not be able to guess the situation. Here is the first update, and there will be 3 more updates today. I'm sorry, the update time has become unstable because the weather has suddenly turned cold recently and I can't get up in the middle of the night. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 227. What happened on the day of the archery competition? Will I see the real him and subvert my previous view of him? Hearing these words, Ichi-no's Yuki was stunned and confused. Beep. However, before she could ask further questions, the video call was disconnected. Brother Guang, what happened? Seeing the video page disappear and returning to the chat interface, Yuki Ichi-no's was a little confused. How so? It was obviously Sunday morning and everything was still normal. Summer vacation has arrived, shouldn't it be time for a sweet vacation? Compared with this incident, she felt that Brother Guang's behavior of suddenly interrupting the video chat tonight was weird. On the other side, as the video was forcibly interrupted, Kurosawa Hikaru's hand holding the phone fell limply and he sat down on the sofa. After all, he finally said it out. Although there was no complete showdown, the matter could be considered settled. I have another woman. In fact, he wanted to say this directly. However, in this world, not all words can be spoken. There are always some words that you cannot say and can only be buried in your heart. It's so difficult. Kurosawa looked at the ceiling and muttered to himself. In this matter, he was really ashamed of them. This was an undeniable fact. Fortunately, He had been aware of this for a long time, so he had been restraining close contact with them, and stayed at the kissing stage instead of going further. Woo! At this moment, the video call application bell rang. This voice brought his attention back to reality. Kurosawa Hikaru saw that it was an application from Koyuki. After hesitation, he pressed his thumb and chose to reject it. Beep. Now, he is not mentally prepared to face Xiaoyuki again. He should wait until the archery competition is over. Woo. Beep. With another video application, Kurosawa once again chose to reject it. Immediately afterwards, his cell phone began to issue line notifications one after another. The voice was urgent, coming every few seconds. Seeing this situation, although Kurosawa Hikaru planned not to contact her for the time being, he still couldn't help it and picked up the phone and took a look. Brother Guang, will anything happen on the day of the archery competition? What do you mean by the real you? Brother Guang, I'm sorry, I'm stupid. If I did something wrong, can you tell me? Brother Guang, where is your family? Can I go find you? Brother Guang, can we meet and talk? The intervals between these messages are very short, and her urgency can be felt through the words. These words touched Kurosawa Hikaru's heart. At the same time, because of line's red function, Xiaoyuki immediately sent another message. Brother Guang, you saw the message, can you reply to me? Please, Brother Guang, please don't ignore me. If there is anything about me that disappoints you, please tell me and I can change it. I'm on summer vacation. I didn't study hard as you said and just played around every day. Can I start studying tomorrow? Please, Brother Guang, don't read it so much that you can't reply. Just reply with a symbol. Don't ignore me. Brother Guang, you can do whatever you want from me. As long as you ask, I'll do anything. The words are supposed to be emotionless, but through these words Kurosawa Hikaru could vaguely see Xiaoyuki holding the phone in both hands, so anxious that she was about to cry. You didn't do anything wrong. It was me who did something wrong. You will know it on the day of the archery competition. Kurosawa Hikaru was very distressed. Although he had made up his mind not to contact her before the archery competition, in order to prevent her from continuing to lose control, he could only reply. If she was left alone, there was no telling what she would do. With the reply, Xiaoyuki's information ushered in a new round of explosion. Brother Guang, you can't be wrong. You will never be wrong. It was me who was wrong. Brother Guang, I really want to see you. I want to see you now. Can you tell me where you are now? I want to find you. Brother Guang, I love you, I really love you, please, don't ignore me. Well. Seeing her humble pleading, Kurosawa Hikaru felt heartbroken and worried, and couldn't help but sigh. He chose the time for the showdown relatively early, during the archery competition. He and Xiaoyuki had only officially dated 3 times. It was only 1 day apart, and they had known each other for exactly 1 month. It was only in such a short period of time that he just showed that he ignored her once, and he should have reached this point. If we had known each other for half a year, or even a year, or even longer, it would be hard to imagine what kind of reaction she would have. Don't think too much. On August 10th, there will be a Kyoto competition at the Budokan. Come and watch my competition. After thinking about it, Kurosawa Hikaru replied to her out of soft-heartedness. Does it have to be August 10th? Not now. Or tomorrow, the day after tomorrow. After getting another reply, Xiaoyuki asked immediately. It has to be August 10th. Kurosawa Hikaru dared not meet her for the time being. Now that he was on the phone, he felt worried. If she were right in front of him, he didn't know how to face her. The most important thing is that he has tried it, and he really can't say to Xiaoyuki, who is full of him, I have other women, and more than one. Helpless, he can only wait until the day of the archery competition to tell them the truth. Do you want to wear your favorite black silk? You don't have to consider my preferences, just follow your own preferences, but on that day, you'd better dress up beautifully. As soon as the sentence came out, Kurosawa Hikaru's heart jumped, but he still said it. On that day, she had to face Miss Ninomiya and Shifunji Mirai. If she ran over without makeup, she would be at a great disadvantage. Do you want to wear the glasses you like? No, just be yourself, but you must be mentally prepared and don't collapse like you did just now on that day. Okay, can you reply to my messages during this period? I have to prepare for the archery competition. I may not reply to messages, but I will read them. Brother Guang, will you break up with me? You will never leave me, and you will understand the meaning of the sentence when the archery competition comes. Kurosawa Guang saw that she still asked, paused for a while, and typed a reply. He has only said this to Xiaoyuki so far. When he made this promise, he had already thought about the day of showdown. This is his voice. As long as Xiaoyuki does not leave on her own initiative, he will never let go in his life. In fact, this is what he thinks now. Whether it is Xiaoyuki or Miss Ninomiya, as long as they do not plan to leave, he will never abandon them on their own initiative. That's it, and the chat ends here. There are still 2 days before summer vacation, and Kurosawa Guang went to school as usual. Maybe he said some mysterious things to Ninomiya Chizuru last night, but he still had to go to school. Kurosawa, how was it yesterday? I heard that junior sister Miki was waiting for you at the school gate, and then you went to drink coffee. As he arrived at the school and just arrived in the classroom, Miyazaki Yuta waited for him to sit down and asked curiously. The rumor is so detailed. Hearing this, Kurosawa Hikaru looked sideways. According to the situation, could someone have seen him and Miss Ninomiya talking on the phone across the street? After all, you are the handsome guy in our economics department, and junior sister Miki is a famous school beauty in the whole school. You two are the protagonists, so the topic is very high. And you just clarified the rumor, and this happened, which makes people more curious and concerned. Miyazaki Yuta shrugged and explained. Are there any other rumors? Did you do anything else besides drinking coffee with Junior Miki? No, I just drank coffee, but I want to know if the rumors are too outrageous. Realizing that his affair with Ninomiya Chizuru had not been noticed by others, Kurosawa Hikaru said with some relief. From this point of view, the students of Tokyo University are still more pragmatic, and will not spread rumors, and there is no situation where 3 people make a tiger. Did you have any sparks? Will you fall in love with her? No. Kurosawa Hikaru shook his head. Although he was soft-hearted yesterday and refused directly without a word, he still had to deal with the affairs of Xiaoyuki and Miss Ninomiya at the moment, and he had no extra thoughts to pay attention to other girls. Even though this junior Miki was very beautiful, and had the advantages of being honest to herself and daring to pursue, she could figure skate and ballet, had a great temperament, and still had a good impression of him. Why? Miyazaki Yuta saw his calm face and really couldn't figure it out. Miki-chan is so pretty that she is the most beautiful girl in the whole country, not to mention that she is the most beautiful girl in the whole university. This kind of beautiful girl is waiting for you at the door, obviously she has a crush on you, this guy's reaction is so normal. Any man would be ecstatic, right? It's hard to explain clearly. I have a lot of things to deal with recently. I will tell you if I have a chance next semester. Although he is a friend, Kurosawa Hikaru has no habit of showing off his love experience. Okay. Miyazaki Yuta looked at his face carefully and felt that he was very strange. After thinking for a long time, he nodded and suppressed the gossipy soul in his heart. He suddenly realized that although he and Kurosawa were together every day when they were in school, they were inseparable and even jokingly called a group, Kurosawa and his friend. Although it seems that they have a good relationship to outsiders, in fact, he doesn't seem to know what kind of person Kurosawa is. What he was familiar with was only the Kurosawa in the school. He actually knew very little about what Kurosawa outside the school was like. After the conversation ended, Kurosawa Hikaru sat in his seat, waiting for class. Tomorrow was summer vacation, and the second to last day of classes was very relaxed. The day's classes ended in the blink of an eye, and school was over. Unexpectedly, he didn't see Ninomiya Chizuru the whole day on Friday. Maybe she didn't have classes on Friday, but she should be very concerned about what happened after school yesterday, and she should have asked him about it. Is she planning something big? Kurosawa Hikaru was a little worried about this matter. Although it was not easy to talk to her at this time, her delay in showing up made people worry about her situation. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 228. On Friday evening, Kurosawa Hikaru walked out of the classroom and embarked on his way home. Alone, he walked to the school gate and looked ahead. There was no familiar luxury car waiting for him. When he looked back, there was no one chasing him. You really didn't look for me, what on earth is she doing? Realizing that Ninomiya Chizuru didn't show up, Kurosawa Hikaru felt even more strange. Forget it, wait until the day of the archery competition, and what is supposed to come will come. Although he couldn't figure it out, Kurosawa Hikaru thought about the result. As soon as Kurosawa Hikaru walked into the shooting range at Zuifeng Dojo, someone was already waiting for him. Brother Kurosawa, you came to see me outside of Sunday. Sato Shinichi was still wearing a kimono as always, but when he came to the shooting range from the door, he immediately opened his arms and hugged him enthusiastically. I have to say that it is really difficult to meet Brother Kurosawa. The archery competition is getting closer. Before that, I will come to your place to practice every day. Kurosawa Hikaru also opened his arms and hugged him before explaining. Okay, you can come whenever you want and practice however you want. After the hug, Sato Shinichi was extremely happy when he heard this. Speaking of which, thank you very much for what happened a few days ago. Kurosawa Hikaru took off his shoes and stepped on the wooden floor with his socks on. Because the most important thing at hand was to ensure that he could marry Sci-fi in the future, he decided to come to the shooting range to practice every day before the competition started. Hey, it's just such a small thing, why do you need to thank me so much? Your business is my brother's business. Hearing him mention this matter, Sato Shinichi glared at him, patted his chest and said, Okay, bro, how about you wait for me to change my clothes and go to the long-range shooting range to shoot arrows together later. Kurosawa Hikaru saw that he was so generous and was not polite, so he immediately said, Of course, but I can't stay with you for long. I can only shoot a few dozen arrows with you. Seeing that he was so interested today, Sato Shinichi agreed, just to be on the safe side and for the sake of his own old bones. The long-range shooting range is different from the short-range shooting range. The farther the distance, the higher the power and energy required to shoot. It's okay, I mainly want you to help me see the basic movements of Kyoto. You should be free tonight, right? Go home around 10 o'clock. Summer vacation starts tomorrow. I have to get up early to go to school again and listen to the teachers nagging for a while. Kurosawa Hikaru shrugged. Ha ha ha. Realizing that he still had to listen to the nagging of the school teacher, Sato was instantly happy. Not long after, Kurosawa Hikaru put on a hakama suit, put on finger protectors, and went to the long-range shooting range with Sato Shinichi. The two of them practiced from scratch according to Budo etiquette. Etiquette is something that takes a long time to be cultivated. It is not just etiquette that you imitate a few times. Although Hikaru Kurosawa has perfect archery skills and is unrivaled in the world in terms of archery skills alone, he still has a lot to learn in terms of bow etiquette. The two of them didn't say much, just shooting arrows quietly. Speaking of which, Mirai won't be coming to the dojo this Sunday. After a dozen arrows, Sato Gen began to feel the difficulty and spoke. Why? Holding the black wind in his hand, Kurosawa Hikaru drew the bow to the full string and hit the bull's eye with one arrow, he said in confusion. He was still thinking about the day after tomorrow, and meeting with Mirai in advance on Sunday to discuss matters on the day of the archery competition. I mentioned to my old friend before that I would like to let the future watch the National College Kyudo competition, which will be beneficial to her Kyudo practice, and I will also appear as a guest. Her grandfather waited for her to go on summer vacation, so he summoned her to go home. Wait until the competition that day, they will go to the martial arts gym together. Seeing that his state of mind was calm and he still maintained the terrifying accuracy of hitting every shot, Sato Shinichi admired him wholeheartedly and also explained. So far, Kurosawa has come to the wind-chasing dojo. Whether it is the short-range shooting range of 28 meters or the long-range shooting range of 60 meters, he has not missed the target. What is even more terrifying is that he still maintains that he can definitely hit the target. Achievements. How many arrows are there? At least a few hundred arrows. This is too outrageous. If it were during the Warring States period, with Kurosawa's archery skills, he would definitely be the strongest marksman in history. Brother, do you want to be a guest on the day of the archery competition? Kurosawa Hikaru, realizing his help, pulled an arrow out of his quiver and asked while shooting. Under normal circumstances, I wouldn't be able to invite an event of this level, and it's impossible for my old friends to come and watch the game. Thank you for your hard work, brother. It's not hard work. Participating as a guest can help you become famous. When Sato Shinichi talked about this, there was unconcealable excitement on his face. In fact, there has never been anyone in his generation that he can truly admire, not even the head of the Seifunjiyuan family or the head of the Maplewood Consortium. But after meeting Hikaru Kurosawa, he was truly convinced, even worshipping and admiring him. This Kurosawa brother seems to be a monster born for bows and arrows. This guy is still very young, but one day, he will definitely be crowned the strongest in history, and even the god of bows and arrows. Being able to be a brother-in-law to such a figure who showed his talent at a young age and was destined to become a legend, not only did he not care about his demotion, he was even proud of it. That's why, whenever brother Kurosawa has any difficulties, he will do his best to help. Brother Sato, how many women do you have? Kurosawa Hikaru kept shooting, averaging one arrow every 15 seconds. After thinking about it, he suddenly spoke. Hearing this question, Sato Shinichi slowly put down his archery action and looked sideways at him. There are 3 famous wives and 2 nameless lovers. After thinking about it, Sato Shinichi realized that he did not propose it as a joke, but was very serious, so he said. What's the relationship between the guy who pours tea for us every time in the tea room and me? Kurosawa Hikaru turned to look at him, somewhat curious. As he spoke, the bow and arrow in his hand also left his hand. Even without looking, he accurately hit the bull's eye 60 meters away. This distance is really too close for him, not to mention that the target of Kyudo is very large, and the bull's eye range is at least 5 centimeters. Kumiko. She's one of my wives. Seeing that he could hit this, Sato Shinichi applauded him and responded. Do you love them? Kurosawa Hikaru was a little curious. It's not strange for him to have 3 famous wives. Maybe Neon is monogamous, but a big shot like me, who can make all the difference in Tokyo, doesn't need to care about this kind of thing. Of course, but it's important to consider the severity, otherwise there won't be any difference between a wife and a lover. Do you feel guilty when facing your lover and wife? Guilty? Why are you feeling guilty? Because they only love you, but you love several. It's unfair to them. Kurosawa Hikaru felt a little heavy when he talked about this. During this period, the thing he couldn't let go of the most was this. It's unfair because I gave them everything they wanted and they were satisfied with that. Give them everything they want. Kumiko is one of my fans. She was attracted by my performance in a competition when she was 12 years old and has been admiring me since then. She doesn't care about my money or my status, she was fascinated and admired by my archery, and wanted to be with me forever. Her feelings attracted me, so I fell in love with her, gave her the opportunity to be with me, and gave her a status. How will your first wife react if you marry her? I resisted at first, but later I gave in, because Kumiko was my last wife, and there was a precedent before her. Although there were quarrels, their relationship is quite good now. Can this still be a good relationship? Kurosawa Hikaru was a little surprised. Because when I was planning to marry my fourth wife, they met in private and joined forces to give me a blow. Because I couldn't say I loved my two lovers, who coveted their youth and beauty, so I didn't marry. Sato Shinichi shrugged, sat on the ground and said with a smile. The fact that they will resist this means that they still care about your efforts. Kurosawa Hikaru turned to look at him. There's nothing you can do about it. Men are attracted to different women at different times. When I married Kumiko, I actually thought that I would never find another one, but I still couldn't help it. Regarding this situation, Sato Shinichi had no idea. Brother, you are such a scumbag, and feel at ease. Seeing him say such remarks, even if Kurosawa Hikaru knew that he was a scumbag, he couldn't help but say. Ha ha ha, brother, you are a scumbag and don't understand. If you ask me like this, it means that besides the future, you have also fallen in love with other women, right? Upon hearing this comment, Sato Shinichi did not deny it pretentiously, but laughed heartily, and then asked. Right. Because he was very honest and trustworthy, Kurosawa Hikaru hesitated, put down the bow in his hand, and nodded. The future is filled with women that countless men can't even daydream about, but even if you have such an outstanding girl, you will still be thinking about other people. This is what a man is. As long as you are powerful and capable, you will definitely desire more. More, this desire is never ending. Sato Shinichi was very happy to receive this recognition, and then told him frankly. Really? Kurosawa opened his mouth, unable to deny, so he could only nod. In fact, just having the future of Saifunji Yuan as his wife is a blessing for countless men, but he still will not be satisfied with this. Maybe he has no idea about Miki Bayu now, but this is because at this stage, he has no extra thought and effort, but what about in the future? Brother, you don't have to worry so much, you just need to make yourself better. In the future, the wealthy young lady trained by this kind of consortium will choose you, not just because she loves you, but because she feels comfortable with you. Being together is the best choice, you have the ability to compare with all men. Seeing his reaction, Sato Shinichi also comforted him. Getting better. When Kurosawa Hikaru heard these words, he always felt that they were very similar to the concept of the system. Women are not brought back by chasing, but by attracting. As long as you are good enough, there will be many girls who like you without doing anything deliberately. Sato Gen nodded, very sure about this. When he was young, there are too many suitors to count. Besides, you are so handsome, just like me when I was young, and you are so outstanding. If I were a woman, I would be 50 years younger, and I would be your lover as long as I could be with you. After saying that, Sato Shinichi looked at Kurosawa Mitsuru, who lowered his eyes and fell into deep thought, and said in amazement at his face with clear contours, deep and handsome. This brother's appearance is so good that only when I was young could I compete with him. Ah, what you said is too disgusting. Kurosawa Mitsuru, who was thinking, couldn't hold it back when he heard this. Ha ha ha, I'm telling you this truth. Seeing his disgusted look, Sato Shinichi was so happy. The second and third updates are here. Thank you very much to the leader of the definition domain priority XYR. This chapter is rewarded for additional updates, because one leader adds 2 updates, and there will be another update later. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 229. On August 6, the summer vacation of the University of Tokyo this year will be over in one morning. By the time of lunch break, you can even leave the school and go out for a meal to celebrate the vacation. On the last day, there are no classes, only the academic arrangements and precautions of different classes and student groups by various teachers. Every teacher who comes to the classroom to give the final instructions means that the summer vacation is one step closer. Summer vacation is coming soon. Although it was yesterday that I felt that Kurosawa Hikaru was a little strange, Miyazaki Yuta didn't care too much and still sat with him. Maybe there is no such thing as campus bullying in college, but after more than a year of being admitted to the University of Tokyo, basically everyone's group is fixed. People who are used to being alone still do their own thing. As for those who like to act with others, they also have their own small circles. Yes. Kurosawa Hikaru nodded, watching a teacher leave, and he had some estimation in his heart. Why are you not excited at all? Seeing his mediocre reaction, Miyazaki Yuta really didn't understand. Even if you are a student of the University of Tokyo, you will be happy when you have a vacation. Rather, it is absolutely abnormal if a student is not happy about the holiday. Yeah, summer vacation is coming. Kurosawa Hikaru found that he was looking forward to his reaction, so he simply used his entry-level acting skills to cheer. Forget it. Seeing his reaction, because the difference between before and after was too big, Miyazaki Yuta did not force him to be as excited as himself. After all, he was so excited because he could go on a date with the girl who added him before during the summer vacation. Da-da-da. Just then, a subtle sound of high heels came from outside the classroom. Hearing this sound, Kurosawa Hikaru's face suddenly became a little more solemn. Sure enough, just as he heard, the next person to enter the classroom was Ninomiya Chizuru. She was still wearing a standard OL uniform of a white shirt with a black hip skirt and black pantyhose as before. If it was winter, she would also wear a female suit outside. With her arrival, everyone's chatter in the classroom also stopped abruptly, and they all looked at him. Tap, tap, tap. No longer outdoors, but indoors, the sound of her high heels walking was very crisp and pleasant, and she walked all the way to the podium. Today is the time for summer vacation. I believe that all students can't wait, but please be patient and listen to me for a few more words. The results of the final exam have been notified and distributed to each student through mobile phone notifications. Students who failed the course will need to make up for the summer vacation. I believe you are also very clear about this. In addition, even if it is summer vacation, please remember that you are a student of the University of Tokyo and do not do anything that violates the school spirit and school rules. Yes. Hearing her cold and clear voice, the students responded very positively. Faced with everyone's love, Ninomiya Chizuru looked around the students in the classroom and said, "Finally, I have one more thing to inform the students of the Ninomiya group. Starting from the next semester, the students of the Ninomiya group will be accepted by other teachers' groups during the summer vacation. At that time, you will have a new teacher to join the new group." Hearing this, Kurosawa Hikaru, who was sitting in the audience, looked at Ninomiya Chizuru on the stage with some astonishment. Why are the students of the Ninomiya group assigned to other groups? At the same time, Miyazaki Yuta couldn't help it. Ninomiya Chizuru is not only Kurosawa Hikaru's teacher, but also his teacher. That's why they became friends. After all, sometimes the same group has to do big homework together. Because starting from noon, when you are on summer vacation, I will also officially resign from my job as a teacher. In response to this question, Ninomiya Chizuru looked at him, glanced at Kurosawa Hikaru without leaving a trace, and said calmly. After this, let alone the students of the Ninomiya group, the whole class of students were unhappy. This sentence was like a bomb, thrown out suddenly, blowing up everyone. No way. You don't want to be a teacher anymore. Teacher Ninomiya, why? What happened? No. Please continue to be a teacher. Regardless of gender, everyone loves Ninomiya Chizuru very much and is eager to keep her. Because who would not like such a beautiful teacher? And her lectures are also very good. Although she is not as professional as the professor, it feels very comfortable to see her in the first class every Monday when I come to school. Please be quiet. Faced with everyone's retention, Ninomiya Chizuru was a little moved in her heart, but after playing with her hair, she remained calm and tapped the podium with her hand. Realizing that she had something to say, although everyone was excited, they still quieted down. The resignation has been decided. I have officially talked to the school yesterday and it has been decided. This matter is irreversible. Please understand. Ninomiya Chizuru stood on the podium, facing everyone, and explained. Mr. Ninomiya, why are you resigning? One girl couldn't help but stand up and asked excitedly. As a girl, being able to see such an excellent role model as teacher Ninomiya is an inspiration to her. I won't go into details about the reasons for my resignation. There are many factors. In short, after today, I will no longer be a teacher at Dongda. Seeing her face, Ninomiya Chizuru paused for a moment before announcing forcefully and resolutely. Ah! Realizing that the dead end was irreversible, everyone sighed. Everyone was originally going to have summer vacation, so they were happy, but they didn't expect to hear such bad news before leaving school. Ignoring everyone's laments, after the official announcement, Ninomiya Chizuru's eyes fell on Kurosawa Hikaru and explained. If you see me outside the school in the future, you can call me Ninomiya-senpai or Ninomiya-senpai. After all, I am also a graduate of Tokyo University, so I am your senior. Her gaze is very direct, and the underlying message may not be understood by others, but Hikaru Kurosawa understands it. Her eyes seem to be saying, I can't wait for those 2.5 years. Now I am Ninomiya-senpai. From today on, we no longer have the distance and constraints of the teacher-student relationship. Why is she so impulsive? Facing this situation, Kurosawa Hikaru was a little shocked, but more helpless. He didn't see Miss Ninomiya all day yesterday and didn't receive any message from him. He could feel that he was definitely holding back his big move. But what he never expected was that the ultimate move she could hold back was so terrifying. Although Ninomiya Chizuru said so, no one accepted the statement at all. Then how can you do it? Once you are a teacher, you will always be a teacher. No matter where I see you, I will still call you teacher. That's right. Neon people respect teachers very much. Teachers have a very high status in society and their treatment is even better than that of civil servants. Normally, they are respectfully called sir. Teachers at Dongda University are even as famous as members of Congress and enjoy supranational treatment. As long as you wear a teacher badge, if you take the bus, the elderly will give you their seat, and there are also special seats for teachers on the tram. If you are going to buy something, as long as you can prove that you are a teacher, you can also enjoy extremely high discounts. Because in the eyes of Neon people, teachers are a profession that makes great sacrifices for society, and therefore are extremely sacred. This is not only true for teachers in schools, but also for teachers who open dojos and teach the Tao. Sato Shinichi's social status is extremely high, and he has a terrifying appeal. After all, he has disciples all over the world. As for Kurosawa Hikaru, he doesn't have such harsh ideas, because even though he has lived in this land for 20 years, his ideas are still fundamentally different from those of the Neon people. This. Seeing everyone's enthusiasm, Ninomiya Chizuru, who was still staring at Kurosawa Hikaru, suddenly froze. To be honest, she would rather everyone not call her teacher when they see her in the future, or even forget about it. In this case, when others saw her and Kurosawa together in the future, they would not think that they had a teacher-student relationship. Otherwise, she would never be able to hold her head high and feel at ease in her life. Thank you all for your love, and I hope you all have a relaxing and enjoyable summer vacation. Ninomiya Chizuru took a deep breath, took 2 steps away from the podium, bowed to all the students, and then turned around and left, not daring to stay any longer. In full view of everyone, she quickly walked out and left everyone's sight. How could this happen? Why did Mr. Ninomiya resign suddenly? Miyazaki Yuta, who was still smiling because the summer vacation was approaching, watched her leave, and his mood suddenly plummeted. This is too sudden. Normally, a Neon person's career lasts a lifetime. If you really have been a teacher all your life, there will even be a formal farewell ceremony in your retirement year, and the students will be notified in advance to assemble. Could it be that Mr. Ninomiya plans to get married? Go home and become a housewife suddenly, someone guessed a possibility. How can I be a housewife? The job of being a teacher at the University of Tokyo is so great. Why is it impossible? Teacher Ninomiya is so beautiful and talented. Maybe she has a boyfriend with a distinguished background and plans to get married. How prominent can it be? For example, a big conglomerate whose net worth is measured in trillions? Anyway, he is a big shot who is not convenient for people to discuss. Wow. According to your statement, she is not going to be a housewife, but a young lady. Really? After hearing this situation, everyone suddenly felt less uncomfortable. Although everyone is reluctant to let go, they have no right to stop teacher Ninomiya from pursuing a better life. Kurosawa, you have been in a dull mood these past 2 days. You must have known about this a long time ago, right? After all, your relationship with the teacher is relatively good, and you were interviewed by her alone a few days ago. Listening to everyone's discussion, Miyazaki Yuta turned his head and looked at Kurosawa Hikari next to him, and found that his reaction was very calm, so he asked. No, I just found out. Kurosawa Hikaru asked this question, spread his hands and said with a wry smile. He really didn't expect that his words would actually stimulate Miss Ninomiya to resign and make up her mind to stop being a teacher. Was she too smart to guess what would happen on the day of the archery competition? Did she become anxious because of the sense of crisis? The 4th update is here. Thanks again to the leader of the domain Priority XYR for the reward. Because the Kyoto tournament is not just a game, but also a turning point in the relationship. There are too many things involved and many things need to be said. It was difficult to say the exact time before. But now, I can give you a preview. The Kyoto tournament will be tomorrow. Tokyo's most affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 230. Sudden resignation is like a bucket of cold water, dampening many people's enthusiasm for summer vacation. However, life has to go on. Although everyone felt sorry for a while, people's attention soon shifted to why Ninomiya Chizuru resigned. Could it be because Mr. Ninomiya was bullied in the workplace? Some people are boldly speculating. SHH. You don't want your life? You're talking nonsense. After hearing this, his friend quickly stopped him. In today's neon world, no matter what kind of workplace, contempt and unfair treatment of women are common. The reason why this is so is because in the bubble era at the end of the last century, women's rights were prevalent and then fell. In the bubble era, the social status of neon women reached the highest peak in history. But what goes up must come down. The higher you stand, the more painful your fall will be. As the bubble burst, women also fell from the clouds to the bottom. In today's era, most workplaces are dominated by men. It is very difficult for women to enter high-level workplaces. Even if they do, the possibility of being harassed in the workplace is very high when there are more men than women. Having said that, if a workplace harassment scandal breaks out at a world-renowned university like Tokyo University, the problem will be serious. There are different opinions about the reason for resignation, but no one can say the possibility with basis, it is just a guess. There was only one person in the classroom who had any idea, and that was Hikaru Kurosawa. This has not even reached the archery competition. Isn't it too irrational for her to do this? Are my words so damaging to her? But even Kurosawa Hikaru was shocked by the news for a long time and could not let go. In fact, when they traveled together before, he had a vague feeling that Ninomiya Chizuru didn't really like being a teacher. Perhaps her social status is extremely high and her salary is generous, but her becoming a teacher is not out of personal pursuit, it is just a way to escape from the control of her parents. As long as she is given a chance, such as the rise of a small-time firm in which she participated in large investments, and can completely curb her parents' talk with her performance, she will definitely resign without hesitation. But now, before the firm has officially taken off, or even signed a sky-high contract, she suddenly resigned. Ninomiya Chizuru made this choice for him. Faced with a sense of crisis, she resolutely chose to resign. But in doing so, she was no less than pushing herself to a dead end. Did she turn out to be such an irrational person? While thinking about it, Kurosawa Hikaru was also a little shocked. In his opinion, Ninomiya Chizuru is a very smart, rational, and mature person who suppresses her thoughts and impulses deep in her heart, and is calm and collected. She has the ability to be an economics teacher and is a senior who graduated from Tokyo University. Every move she makes should be calculated and made after weighing the pros and cons before taking action. In short, she will never behave like a gambler who wants to bet everything at all costs. What on earth was she thinking? Puzzled, Kurosawa Hikaru suddenly felt that Miss Ninomiya was strange. Her behavior was out of control and illogical, making it impossible to guess her thoughts and plans. Such an extreme action made him worried, even an indescribable heavy feeling, making people afraid that she would do other extreme things. The next teachers all had similar tasks, either assigning homework or reminding everyone to know their status as Dongda students during the summer vacation. With the arrival of lunch break, various subjects at Dongda are officially on summer vacation. Following the large group out of the classroom, Kurosawa Hikaru also went all the way downstairs. He soon arrived on the first floor and walked out of the economics department teaching building. However, when he walked out of the teaching building and walked towards the school gate, the phone in his pocket suddenly vibrated and made a sound. Realizing this, Kurosawa Hikaru took out his phone and took a look, and found that it was a message from Ninomiya Chizuru. "Kurosawa, you don't have to worry about me anymore." Seeing such a message, Kurosawa Hikaru was stunned. In the dark, he felt a very strong gaze, and couldn't help but look back. Behind a window on the side of the second floor, Ninomiya Chizuru stood looking at herself. There was a faint smile on the corner of her mouth, but there was no abnormality in her expression. Her ice blue eyes were very bright in the shadow of the building. It was terrifying to suddenly look back and find someone staring at her, even if she was smiling. Even though it was Hikari Kurosawa, under this bright summer sun, it was unavoidable to have a numb scalp and chills on the back. What does she mean? At this moment, Kurosawa Hikaru really couldn't figure out what was going on in her mind. However, the two people looked at each other from a distance, which did not last long. This time, Ninomiya Chizuru took the lead to retract her gaze, turned and walked away. She was also holding a large cardboard box in her hand, which was her personal belongings while working at Dongda University, which meant that she had really resigned and was not joking. "Kurosawa, are you waiting for me?" At this moment, Someone came from behind and patted his shoulder. Miyazaki Yuta was a little surprised. Yes. Because he spoke first and then filmed, Kurosawa Hikaru was not frightened, calmed down, and nodded along with the flow. What's wrong? Your face is so pale. Teacher Ninomiya resigned. Does it have such a big impact on you? Miyazaki Yuta walked up to him and saw his side face, a little puzzled. A little bit. Realizing that he looked a little bad, Kurosawa nodded again. Let's go. I hope that teacher Ninomiya will be happy after resigning. Anyway, being a teacher is quite tiring, so it's a relief. Seeing his sluggish look, Miyazaki Yuta reached out and grabbed his arm, pulled him forward, and comforted him. Teachers in Neon have a high social status and are respected, but they are also recognized as one of the most tiring jobs in Neon. The average working hours per week is exaggerated. The two walked side by side and walked out of the school. During the summer vacation, I may encounter love problems. I will send you a message for help then, but remember to reply to me. No problem. Although Kurosawa Hikaru was worried, he agreed to him. Immediately, they parted ways because they were going home in different directions. Riding the tram and walking all the way, Kurosawa Hikaru returned home as usual. She told me not to worry about her. Why did she say that? At the entrance, Kurosawa Hikaru put down his school bag, took out his phone again and looked at the message, feeling confused. Could it be that she guessed that I have another woman and doesn't care? It's unrealistic to think like this. With her jealous personality, how could she accept it so easily? What's more, the day of the archery competition has not yet come, and the truth has not yet been revealed. But it was because Chizuru Ninomiya took such an extreme action and resigned directly before the truth was revealed, so he couldn't figure it out. What's more, she reminded herself in the classroom that she had broken free from the shackles of her identity as a teacher, and from now on she would be a senior. I can't figure it out. Should I contact her? But what can I say? Should I ask Miss Runa? No way, she even praised me for being very devoted. If she knew that I was actually a playboy, I don't know what her reaction would be. Forget it, let's go to the dojo to shoot arrows. After thinking a lot but having no solution, Kurosawa Hikaru picked up another satchel on the locker in the entrance and set off again before resting at home. As he left the apartment, he walked outward. On the side of the first floor, a head suddenly emerged and watched him leave. This person wears sunglasses and a mask, but has long wavy golden hair. If Kurosawa Hikaru saw her, he would be able to recognize her at a glance, even though she was heavily disguised. She was Xiao Yuki. It wasn't until Ichino's Yuki looked at Kurosawa Hikaru's back, walked out of the apartment door, and turned the corner that he walked out with peace of mind. However, she did not follow him. Instead, she walked to the elevator, pressed the button, entered it, and then pressed the button for the 5th floor. Ding! As the elevator rose and ran, it made a crisp sound after reaching the 5th floor. Stepping out of the elevator, Yuki Ichino's looked around and started walking. Every time she passed a door, she would look at the house number next to it. Residents in Neon sometimes hang a house plate with their surname next to their door in order to receive mail and letters. After searching all over the place, Ichino's Yuki saw a familiar last name in the corner. Kurosawa, this is Brother Guang's home. Ichino's Yuki took off her sunglasses and looked at the closed door in front of her. She felt a little excited and felt a strong sense of security. After 2 days, she finally found Brother Guang's home address. In fact, she went to Dongda yesterday. However, there are too many gates at Dongda University. The gate she first chose to wait for failed to wait until Brother Guang came out and ended in failure. After failing once, she was not discouraged. She checked online and found that Dongda students usually leave the school through the main entrance because public transportation is the most convenient, so today she went to the main entrance. With the huge stone hanging in his heart, Itchy-Nose Yuki finally felt at ease after learning his home address. Brother Guang, I'm sorry, I don't want to follow you, but if I don't know where you live, I'm really afraid that you will suddenly disappear from my world one day. Itchy-Nose Yuki couldn't help but raise her hand and touch the word Kurosawa on the house number. She felt guilty and excited at the same time. After thinking about it, she felt that this was still not enough, so she took out her phone and started operating it. At the same time, Kurosawa Hikaru, who was hailing a taxi, received a message. Xiao Yuki, Brother Guang, I'm sorry. Oh, why does she keep apologizing? Under the scorching sun, Kurosawa Hikaru felt cold and guilty in his heart when he saw such thoughts. Unlike Miss Ninomiya, Xiao Yuki is very well behaved and doesn't take any action. She only sends him messages on her mobile phone. However, the better she behaved, the more Kurosawa suffered in his heart and felt sorry for her. Hurry up and go to the dojo to shoot arrows. After thinking about it, Kurosawa Hikaru did not reply to the message, but successfully hailed a taxi and set off. Archery in preparation for the archery competition helps him calm down. It was finally a successful summer vacation, and since Sci-fi would return home in the future, he would not be able to go to Zuifeng Dojo. In the next few days, Kurosawa Hikaru and Sato Shinichi practiced and cultivated their minds at the archery dojo. Indulging in spiritual practice can help distract you and pass the time. In the blink of an eye, it is August 10th, and the National University Kyoto competition is here. Here is the first update, and there will be an extra update today. The weather has been cold recently, and I can't get up in the middle of the night to write, so I can't write at around 9-10 in the morning like before, please forgive me. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 231. August 10th, 7 o'clock in the morning. Kurosawa Hikaru put on his shoes, carried his satchel, and wrapped it with a long strip of cloth. Higong, who was more than 2 meters long and taller than a human, walked out of the house. There was already a car waiting at the door of the apartment. It was Masaki Yosuji's car. After putting everything away, Kurosawa Hikaru sat in the passenger seat. The day has finally arrived. Yosuji Masaki held the steering wheel, his body was numb with tension, and his heart was filled with emotion. Because the competition was approaching, he had been in frequent contact with Kurosawa Hikaru in the past few days, and even met at the Zuifeng Dojo. Normally, as the coach and consultant of Dongdae Kyoto Club, he would lead the members of Dongdae Kyoto Club to the Budokan. But this year is different from previous years. He has a supernova player, Kurosawa Hikaru, so he asked others to go directly to the Budokan and make a special trip to pick up Kurosawa Hikaru to avoid any accidents. Yes. Compared to him, Kurosawa Hikaru was calm and collected. Should I tell you the rules again? Masaki Yosuji was very happy to see him so calm and couldn't help but asked excitedly. Being able to recruit Kurosawa Hikaru into the archery club and let him participate in the archery competition is definitely the best decision in his life. Because the day before yesterday, when he went to Zuifeng Dojo again, Kurosawa Hikaru's level of archery was terrifying and he had already reached the ultimate level. It is no exaggeration to say that this National University archery competition is destined to be his personal show and the stage where he will become famous. If you don't mind the trouble. Kurosawa looked out the window. The weather today was overcast, the sky was a little dark, and it was likely to rain. Having said that, there is no need to worry about the weather when competing in a martial arts gym. With his consent, Masaki Yosuji also took the trouble to explain to him. The National University Kyoto competition is usually held in early August and lasts for 3 days in total. Today is the Kanto qualifying competition for the National University Kyoto competition. The competition is divided into men's and women's groups, team competitions, and individual competitions. Because this is a national university competition, it focuses more on the team competition. The priority of the individual competition is relatively low. The individual competition will be held first. The specific start time is 8:50. There will be more people in the afternoon. Let's have another team competition. The individual competition is divided into two types, the short-range target with a range of 28 meters and a diameter of 36 centimeters, and the long-range target with a range of 60 meters and a diameter of 1 meter. There are more players participating in short-range shooting. Players participating in long-range shooting need to be at least a rank. But I recommend you as a 6th level player, so you can still participate. But because of this, your opponents are all at least he is a player who is above the 1st level and is relatively strong. It doesn't matter. Kurosawa didn't care at all about this statement, but looked at the weather outside. These days, because he and brother Shinichi continue to practice and hone, his understanding of archery is different from what it used to be. The most important thing is that he has no opponent on the court today. His opponents are only himself, or Yuki Ichino's and Chizuru Ninomiya off the court. Neon Budokan, located in Chiyoda Ward, Tokyo, is a large-scale indoor competition facility dedicated to spreading traditional martial arts. Every year in January of the new year, the opening ceremony of the martial arts performance is held to celebrate the new year and practice in the new year. The opening ceremony includes the 9 modern martial arts established by the Neon Martial Arts Association, namely Judo, Kendo, Kyudo, Sumo, Karate, Aikido, Shaolin Temple Boxing, Naginata, and Gun Kendo. For Neon, the Budokan may not be the biggest venue, but countless classics are passed down here, which is of extraordinary significance. Because here, in addition to martial arts competitions and practices, dances, orchestras, dance parties, concerts, professional competitions, large-scale entrance ceremonies, graduation ceremonies, etc. will also be held. The journey along the way has a destination after all. Martial Arts Hall. After getting off the car, Kurosawa Hikaru raised his head. Not far away, it was the venue for the national archery competition and the Kanto qualifiers. This is a very large building with an octagonal design, 2 floors underground and 3 floors above ground, and can accommodate up to 14,000 spectators and performers. In fact, this place is not unfamiliar to Kurosawa Hikari. He was admitted to Tokyo University, and last year, Tokyo University held its freshman meeting here. At this moment, because there is a competition today, there are also many archers passing through the gate and entering with their bows on their backs. Unlike him, many people even wore hakama clothes, which looked stylish and had a strong martial arts atmosphere. Peak moment. Looking at the Budokan, Kurosawa Hikaru opened the task list and took a look. After looking at it again, his eyes were burning and his fingertips were numb. Every man has a passion and the urge to reach the top, and he is no exception. Exclusive challenge mission for perfect level skills, peak moment, Kyoto. Task description: a person's life is long, with peaks and troughs, but my life has only peaks and no troughs. Challenge goal: formally invite Ichino's Yuki, Ninomiya Chizuru, and Shifunjin Mirai, and let them watch your peak moment at the Neon National University Archery Competition on August 10th. Let the audience cheer and let them know that you are the focus of the audience and the only one who surpasses everything. Show the power of perfect archery skills and let the world hear your voice, your name, and your deeds. On August 10th, today, he will show off the power of perfect archery skills at the Budokan, letting the world hear his voice, his name, and his deeds. Kurosawa, let's go. At this moment, Masaki Yosuji got out of the car, picked up all Kurosawa's things, and said hello. I'll get it. No, It's not heavy to hold something like this. How could Yosuji Masaka be willing to let him do such a trivial matter? He shook his head. You are a teacher and I am a student. I let you take all my things. It would not be good if others see me. Seeing him insisting on doing this, Kurosawa Hikaru felt helpless. Makes sense. Yosuji Masaka thought for a while, but couldn't refute, so he had to return all his things to him. Taking the satchel and bow, Kurosawa Hikaru walked with him to the martial arts hall. Maybe it's still early and there aren't that many people coming to the martial arts hall yet, but for those who pay attention, they will arrive early. As he walked towards the martial arts hall, other people were arriving one after another. A group of people got off the bus. Hey, Kurosawa, Yuki, let's go faster and find him. As soon as Aoi Shiina got out of the car, she looked around, and then she saw the back of Hikaru Kurosawa with sharp eyes. Maybe they didn't meet him often, but Hikaru Kurosawa's presence was very strong, and even among the crowd, he was still very conspicuous. Ichino's Yuki walked off the bus with her. Hearing the sound, he subconsciously looked up, and sure enough he saw Hikari's back. This made her very excited, and she even subconsciously wanted to take steps and run over. Not today. He still has to play. If we go to him now, we will disturb him. It's better to go to him after the game is over. However, before his body started to move, Ichino's Yuki still suppressed the urge. You are his girlfriend, how can it be an intrusion to say hello to him? And didn't you say that before? He invited you to watch the game, which means he expects you to cheer him up. Seeing that she didn't want to go, Aoi Shiina was speechless and preached. The hot foursome, because the competition was too early, only the two of them came. As for other people, they are on summer vacation, so how can they be willing to get up early? They basically stay up late and sleep until noon. Don't worry, I have a day. Ichino's Yuki actually wanted to say hello, but she felt it was not the time yet. Okay, let's go say hello later. Seeing her meek look, Shiina was helpless. After that, they also took steps towards the martial arts hall. However, before they could take a few steps, people started arriving one after another. Yuki-chan, look, Miss Igarashi is here too. Suddenly, Shiina saw a familiar face and was a little surprised. Hearing this, Yuki Ichino's, who was worried, looked up and saw a beautiful woman not far away. It was indeed Miss Igarashi, but unlike when we first met, she looked casual, fashionable, hot, and mature today. She has beautiful short silver gray hair. She wears a high-waisted knitted sweater that exposes her navel, revealing a sexy waistline with a vest line. She wears a pair of denim shorts on her lower body, and her hot figure is bulging forward and backward. She is so beautiful, with exquisite and beautiful facial features. Coupled with such an outfit, she is destined to turn heads. She is beautiful and handsome. So is that cold lady a friend of Miss Igarashi? At the same time, Shiina said in surprise. Aloof sister. Hearing this, Ichino's Yuki became aware, and then moved his eyes away from Igarashi Runa and looked behind her. Sure enough, the cold lady I met at the Tokyo Bunkakaikan that day also came. Different from the uniform OL outfit she wore that day, today she wore a V-neck burgundy midi skirt with waist. He has long, slightly curly blue hair, bright red lips, and wears a pair of rimless glasses. His face looks very cold, very ascetic, yet fascinating. Carrying a small leather bag in one hand, she doesn't need to dress deliberately. With her three-dimensional and stunning facial features, she is already so beautiful that it makes people's hearts beat. The V-neck of her dress is very high, but her slender neck and collarbone are very sexy. And even though she was wearing a mid-length skirt, her body proportions were so good. Her pair of long, slender, and straight legs were looming as she moved around. Sexy and cool, noble and delicate, intellectual and beautiful, This big sister is so beautiful. It's her again. When Ichi-nose Yuki saw her, she couldn't help but feel alert. Looking at this blue-haired elder sister, she felt a very strong feeling of rejection in her heart. Maybe it's because Brother Guang likes glasses? This blue-haired big sister is especially suitable for wearing glasses, and she is incredibly beautiful. At the same time, Igarashi Runa, who was walking to the Budokan, also noticed their gazes. Miss Ichi-nose. Why is she here too? Looking at each other from a distance of more than 10 meters, Igarashi Runa saw their front faces and recognized them. Tokyo's most affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 232. Ichi-nose. That model. Hearing this name, Ninomiya Chizuru was also impressed. Because Runa mentioned this name in the group chat more than once. In addition, the photo shoot that time also left a deep impression on her. Thinking of this person, she followed her gaze and looked over. I saw a beautiful girl standing over there more than 10 meters away. The long golden wavy hair is slightly curled, stacked, and scattered like golden waves. She has a very good figure. Although she is not very tall, her body proportions are beautiful and her facial features are even more exquisite, like a carved porcelain doll, perfect. The eyebrows are curved, the eyelashes are like fans, a pair of green eyes are clear and smart, as crystal clear as gems, the nose is high, and the cherry mouth is painted in pink color, which makes it look very cute. Her makeup is very delicate, and she has a light eyeshadow on the corners of her pretty eyes, which makes her big, beautiful eyes contain the charm that inspires a desire to protect. Obviously her makeup was very detailed, but she was wearing a silk chiffon, one-line collar, high-waisted pure pink suspender dress with ruffles, beaded shoulders, a bridge-like collarbone, and a snow-white gooseneck. She looked like a fairy. Same, very sweet, and pink, giving people a fairy-like feeling. The most important thing is that she looks very young, very immature, very pure, and very touching. Shouldn't she be in her 20s? Why does she look so young? Seeing this face that looked like a super beautiful girl from an anime, Ninomiya Chizuru felt an inexplicable sense of resistance in her heart and couldn't help but ask. She is very young to begin with. Didn't I tell you that she is JK? Igarashi Runa liked this image of Ichi-nose Yuki very much, and explained it after hearing the words. This Yuki Ichi-nose has great potential as a model and can perfectly control various styles of makeup. I know, but she looks very different from the previous photos. Ninomiya Chizuru nodded, naturally remembering this. The Ichi-nose Yuki she saw last time through photos was a noble and elegant, mature and dignified, cool lady with a superb temperament, very similar to her style. But now that I see him, he is so different that he is completely different from the other two. This kind of young and beautiful girl is something she is quite repelled by, just like seeing Miki Bayu. If she is a queen-type beauty, she is completely unafraid. She is very confident at the age of about 25 years old. But young beautiful girls under the age of 20 are completely different from her. She is a model after all. How about going to say hello to her? Igarashi Runa was actually very happy about this and couldn't help but say. Anything is fine. Ninomiya Chizuru naturally had no objection. After saying that, they walked over. Shianai on the other side noticed this and was very happy and hurried over to greet them. Although he is very beautiful, he is shorter than me, doesn't look very smart, has little experience, and lacks temperament. Kurosawa probably won't like this kind of kid. As the distance got closer, Ninomiya Chizuru looked at her and made some calculations in her mind. In her opinion, Kurosawa should like a mature and intellectual lady like her. Although she is very beautiful, she is older than me, looks very aloof, and is too mature. Brother Guang probably won't like this kind of old woman. The same goes for Ichi-nose Yuki. He looked at her and judged his own merits compared with her in his heart. In her opinion, Brother Guang should like young, cute, sweet, and beautiful girls like her. Miss Ichino's, good morning. As they approached, Runa Igarashi smiled and greeted her. Miss Igarashi, good morning. Ichino's Yuki also responded sweetly when she heard this. Miss Igarashi, do you still remember me? At the same time, Aoi Shiina next to her couldn't help but asked excitedly. Of course I remember, you are a blue beautiful girl. Igarashi Runa nodded slightly, very impressed by this hot girl. That's the name of a YouTuber. My real name is Shiina Ai. You and this big sister are so beautiful. When Shiina Aoi heard this, she looked at the blue-haired lady in front of her and couldn't help but sigh. You and Miss Ichino's are also beautiful. Igarashi Runa noticed that her mouth was so sweet and smiled in response. Miss Igarashi, is this eldest sister an idol artist? After greeting her, Shiina Aoi felt very familiar and looked at Ninomiya Chizuru with some curiosity. When she met her at the grand concert hall before, she thought this blue-haired elder sister was particularly beautiful and was deeply attracted by her appearance and charm. She is my good friend, Ninomiya Chizuru. In this regard, Igarashi Runa also introduced. Hello. When her name was announced, Ninomiya Chizuru was very cooperative and extended her hand to Shiina Aoi. Hello. Seeing her slender, and beautiful jade hands, Shiina Aoi couldn't help but feel flattered. She subconsciously wiped her hands on her clothes to avoid sweat on her hands before daring to shake hands with her. This handshake, the cold and delicate palm, made Shiina Aoi extremely excited. When he took back his hand, his expression was filled with uncontrollable joy. Perhaps because of her cold and majestic temperament, she always felt that Miss Ninomiya was a particularly powerful person, and it was an honor to shake hands with her. And her voice is too nice, right? She is magnetic and deep, and her articulation is clear and crisp. She really loves it. After shaking hands with her, Ninomiya Chizuru extended her hand again. Miss Ichino's, nice to meet you. Miss Ninomiya, nice to meet you. Holding hands, both of them smiled slightly, very kind and close. Although they were very harmonious on the surface, looking at each other's beauty, they both had a lingering feeling of rejection in their hearts. Even if you think about it with luck, the other party is definitely not Kurosawa, Brother Hikaru's type, but you still have to admit that the other party is very charming and enough to pose a threat to him. Miss Ichino's will come to watch the competition. Could it be that the karaoke singer will also compete today? As they shook hands, Igarashi Runa asked curiously without seeing any difference in the expressions of the two people. There must be a reason why this hot girl JK came to the Budokan at such a day and time. Yes. Hearing this, Shiina Blue nodded without hesitation. Miss Igarashi. Before she could spill the beans, Ichino's Yuki reminded her. Sorry, I'm just curious, so I won't ask any more. Realizing her trouble, Igarashi Runa was stunned for a moment and then felt embarrassed. In fact, she didn't even think about inviting the karaoke singer to be a singer again. After all, he was really not interested in it. However, people are always curious about unknown things. She really wants to know what the other person looks like and what kind of person he is. At this moment, there were suddenly a lot of noisy sounds around. Convoy. What kind of car is that? Rolls-Royce Extended Edition. How expensive is it? I don't know either. Who is this big shot? It's such a grand occasion. Not sure. The noise was loud and interrupted the conversation between them. Because people were surprised, everyone followed the sound. What's more, at the same time, there were some staff members in suits or white shirts in the martial arts hall who hurried out to greet him. Igarashi Runa turned around and saw a motorcade approaching. The center of the fleet is an extremely luxurious Rolls-Royce with a pure gold goddess of joy on the front and double R logo. The extravagance of the car is that there are two Mercedes-Benz Maybachs guarding the front and rear of it. According to the market price, the Mercedes-Benz Maybach is worth at least 50 million yen. As for the value of the extended Rolls-Royce, she can't even estimate it. Wow, is this a big shot coming? This was the first time Aoi Shiina saw such a scene, and she was really shocked. At the same time, the convoy stopped on the road outside the fence. Before the staff of the Budokan were in place, the doors of the four escorting Maybachs were opened, and a group of tall bodyguards stepped out, standing next to the Rolls-Royce to wait. As the car door opened, a woman with short black hair, wearing a thick maid uniform, delicate and beautiful appearance, but with an expressionless face and a cold temperament, walked out and stood guard by the door. Immediately behind him was an old man with white hair and a suit. Although his face was old, his movements were very strong and he stood upright, standing on the other side of the car door. Looking at this situation, people realize that they are a combination of maid and butler. Is it really here? When Ninomiya Chizuru saw this scene, her eyes turned cold and her expression darkened. Ichino's Yuki was also eye-opening. Hearing her cold words, he looked at her in surprise. At the same time, under the gaze of everyone, a pair of light, straight and gentle legs wearing black high-heeled shoes stretched out from the car door first and stepped on the ground. As they stood firmly on the ground, the people in the car straightened up and appeared in front of everyone. Her stunning face was flawless and stunningly beautiful. The green hair is like a waterfall, like mist, light and smooth, and the ruby-like red phoenix eyes reveal the coldness like frost. Lu Yu's thin eyebrows are curved, adding a touch of tenderness to her coldness. She is tall and wears a beautifully made and beautiful pure black dress. Her skin was cold white, and her neck was slender and crystal clear. Because she was well dressed, not much skin was exposed. But whether it is her pair of slender jade arms or her pair of super beautiful legs, because of the contrast between the cold white skin and the pure black dress, her skin is even whiter. Under this cloudy sky, they are all it's so white that it seems to glow. Without any ornaments, she can interpret a word just standing there, peerless elegance. It is indeed her, the daughter of the Maple Forest Consortium and the future of Sci-fi UN. When Ninomiya Chizuru saw her stunning beauty, she felt extremely repelled. She clenched her fists tightly, angry and hostile. It was this woman who got between her and Kurosawa, causing trouble and doing evil. This woman is dangerous. When Ichino's Yuki saw her beauty that could eclipse all flowers, the alarm bell rang loudly in her heart. An unprecedented sense of rejection and crisis surged out from the bottom of her heart like a volcanic eruption and spread throughout her body. This super young lady has all the qualities, status, money, beauty, and youth. She is impeccable. If someone were to compete with her for Guangji, she might not be able to resist. The second and third updates of the day are here. Thanks again to Mission Wu for the reward. There will be another update later.